manufacturing area right out here. Some of the machines come right up to the tour route, so you just want to be a little cautious of those. And feel free to take pictures or videos inside the factory if you'd like to. Are there any questions before we go inside? We'll start in the kitchen, which is in the back left corner, and then we'll come out here to the cutting and packaging area. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. My name is Piper. And for the last one through, could please close the door behind you. We do sanitize the door handles in between tours. Thank you. And then the kitchen is right back here. All of the candy is made in the 4 kettles against the wall to your left. They are double jacketed steam kettles and they work like a double boiler. Into the kettles they will add sugar, water, cornstarch, fruit concentrate, and pectin. Each kettle holds about 256 pounds of candy. And the candy will cook for about 30 to 35 minutes until it reaches about 230 degrees. Once a batch is done cooking, they'll bring over the mixing kettle. So that's the one with the blue on it right here in front of us. That kettle will be lowered down and set in front of the finished cooking kettle. The cooking kettle will be tipped over and the candy is poured into that mixing kettle. And that's where the nuts are added. They'll add about 20 pounds of nuts, but we do make some nut-free assortments as well. While the nuts mix into the candy, that kettle is brought there to the scale, and then a wooden tray from one of those racks like the one up against the wall there, one of those trays will be set down onto the scale and then lined with a sheet of plastic that's lightly coated in oil. And then the mixing kettle is raised to about that height, and the candy will be poured by weight into the tray. Each tray will weigh about 23 pounds once it's full. Then the candy will be covered with another piece of plastic, and they'll mark the tray with the flavor and then put that tray back onto the rack. And once a rack is full, the candy will cool here in the kitchen for about 2 hours until it reaches room temperature. And then the candy is moved into the cooler where it sits for a minimum of 8 to 10 hours at about 45 degrees before the candy is ready to be cut and packaged. And if you look through the window on the wall right down there, it peeks into the beginning part of the cooler.
This is a cooler?
Yeah. In this first room they call the flavor room, where they store the fruit concentrates, and then in the background is the beginning part of the cooler where we cool the trays of candy before they're ready to be cut and packaged. Are there any other questions about the kitchen? We'll take a look at where they do the cutting and packaging right out here. Station. They'll bring a few of those racks out from the cooler through that metal door in the corner. Then one of the wooden trays is taken off of the rack and the candy is flipped out onto this white table. The plastic will be taken off, and then they'll set the slab of candy onto a conveyor belt that runs down the center of the table. Before the candy goes through the cutting machine there, a layer of cornstarch is added, which will act as a moisture barrier between the candy and the powdered sugar that they'll add on top a little bit later, so that the candy doesn't absorb the powdered sugar. Then the candy will move down the conveyor belt and go through the cutter, which is a guillotine-style cutter. It cuts about 732 pieces from each tray of candy, and at full speed production, it can cut up to 50,000 pieces an hour. And then the pieces of candy fall down into the tumblers. The first part of the tumbler will separate the pieces from each other and coat any cut edges in cornstarch. Then the second half of that tumbler will coat the candy in powdered sugar, And the powdered sugar is brought in from the metal bin above and will fall on the candy as it moves through there. At the end of the tumblers, a couple bins will sit there to catch the candy as it falls out. And then once the bin is full, it'll be marked with the flavor. And those bins of candy are brought over here to our packing tables. We'll move down this way a little bit farther.
So, do you go with the batch production or like bulk production?
So most of the production is to order. So normally this time of the year we start getting in a lot of orders for the holiday season. Our company had been preparing to close by June 1st if we hadn't found new owners. So towards the end of May an offer was put on the company, and as of mid-June we have new owners for the business. So we're still waiting on a lot of supplies to come in so that we can produce more candy. But normally this time of the year we'd be getting ready for the holiday season. So as soon as those supplies come in, we'll start production. And normally in our peak season, they're out here 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. It's just a little slow right now while we wait on those supplies to come in.
So, what are the raw materials you use?
So I think we're waiting on a lot of like the trays that the candy will go into and pieces of the boxes. I think that's what the main weight is for, but we use like sugar and cornstarch and fruit concentrates and nuts in the candies. But I believe we're waiting on the packaging materials to do more production. So these machines here, the packing tables, we have 2 of them here. Those bins of candy will be lined up along the packing table. And there will be 1 packer for each bin of candy. So as the plastic trays move down the conveyor belt, the packers will hand pack the pieces of candy into them. Each packer can pack up to 5,000 pieces of candy in an hour. And only the perfect pieces are put into the trays, and any misshapen ones will be sorted out and used later in our value pack boxes. Then down here at the end of the packing table, the full trays are put into their boxes. Those 2 gray machines in the back of the room there will fold the 2 parts of the boxes. So once the trays are placed inside, the boxes of candy are pushed onto the line that runs back in front of us. As they move down that way, the bottom of the box will be marked with the best by date and the product code. On the other side of that blue machine from us, the boxes are also weighed. And then the boxes of candy go around the corner down there by that mirror, and that blue machine will wrap the boxes in plastic and heat seal them.
Okay.
The wrapped boxes will go through a metal detector right down here, which can check for anything more dense than nuts in the candy, such as nut shells or metal. Then the boxes will reach the end of the line. Down here they are put into cardboard shipping cases, and there will be a pallet on the ground to stack those cases onto. And once the pallet is full or the order is complete, the candy will be taken to our warehouse about 2 blocks down the street, and the candies will be stored in cold storage until they're ready to be shipped out.
Okay, then what about quality control and quality check?
So at the end of each production run, they save 1 box that will go to the quality assurance department to have on hand in case they needed to investigate anything with that batch. And the metal detector is part of the quality control to make sure nothing got into the candy along the way before it was sealed up. So those are a couple of the quality control measures that I'm aware of.
Okay, is it done here or do you send it to any other side laboratory?
Just right here, on the other side of our factory here is the main business office, and there's a quality assurance office in there as well.
Great. So what type of quality you are doing? Like, is it ISO 9000 or ISO 9002?
I'm not too sure about that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for stopping by.
Okay, right. Just okay.
Oh, yeah.
Are your things and the Turkish delight same thing or different?
As like Turkish Delight, our candies are based off of Turkish Delight. Both of our company founders were Armenian and were living in Turkey before coming to the
Yeah,
United
so
States.
they kind of look similar. Yeah.
Yeah, made with different fruit and nut combinations. Yeah.
Yeah, not. Okay, right. Shall I take a picture with you?
Sure.
Okay, right.